Brothers and sisters of Africa, children of the sun, and defenders of sovereignty, listen carefully to my words, for today I do not come with ordinary news. I come with fire. I come with light. I come with a story that will shake the foundations of global power. Burkina Faso, the land once dismissed, underestimated, and ignored, has risen boldly with the strength of her people and the vision of her leaders to do what many said was impossible. Together with China, Burkina Faso has launched a $100 billion solar mega project, a project so immense, so daring, so transformative, that it has struck terror into the heart of Washington and rattled the very pillars of U.S. energy dominance in Africa. Let us pause for a moment and reflect. For centuries, Africa's story was written not by Africans, but by colonizers, exploiters, and manipulators. They came to our lands, saw our treasures, and declared them theirs. They plundered our gold, our diamonds, our oil, and our uranium, while leaving us with poverty and dependency. And when the sun, our eternal companion, rose over our villages each morning, they told us we had no power, no future, no choice but to depend on their electricity, their oil, their gas. But today, Africa answers back with thunderous resolve: no more. No more shall the light of Africa be switched on or off from Washington. No more shall the heartbeat of African industries be tied to foreign strings. No more shall African children study by candlelight while the resources beneath their feet power cities thousands of miles away. The time of begging is over. The time of dependency is dead. Africa is awake, and Africa has found her light. This $100 billion solar revolution is more than infrastructure. It is defiance. It is a declaration of independence louder than any speech, stronger than any protest. It says to the world, we shall power ourselves with what God Himself gave us freely, the sun above our heads. No one can sanction the sun. No one can cut off its supply. No one can place conditions on its radiance. And this, my brothers and sisters, is what terrifies the United States of America. For decades, the U.S. has used energy as a weapon, not just against Africa, but against the world. Oil contracts, gas deals, and electric projects were designed not to liberate, but to enslave. They told us that without them, we would remain in darkness. They positioned themselves as saviors while keeping us in chains. But what they never counted on was that Africa, the continent bathed in the strongest sunlight on Earth, would finally rise and declare, we shall take control of our destiny with the eternal energy that shines upon us. Make no mistake, this project is not just Burkina Faso's victory, it is Africa's. It is a beacon of what happens when courage meets vision, when sovereignty meets solidarity, when one nation dares to step outside the shadow of empire and walk proudly into the light. It is a blow to the arrogance of Washington, which believed Africa would forever be a market, never a maker. It is a shock to Europe, which believed Africa would forever be a supplier, never a leader. And it is an awakening for every African nation still waiting, still hesitating, still doubting its own power. So tonight, as the sun sets and darkness falls across our villages and cities, remember this: tomorrow's sunrise will not be just another dawn. It will be the dawn of African energy independence. It will be the dawn of a revolution, so bright that no empire can dim it. Burkina Faso has lit the match, China has fueled the flame, and together we have set Africa ablaze with the unstoppable power of the sun. This is the story the West fears. This is the truth their media will twist. But this, my brothers and sisters, is the reality. Africa is no longer asking for light. Africa is the light. Brothers and sisters of Africa, sons and daughters of the soil, children of the sun and heirs to destiny, today I stand before you not as a dreamer but as a witness to history unfolding. For too long, Africa's skies have been filled with the burning rays of the sun, yet our people sat in darkness. For too long, we watched as our mothers cooked by firewood, our children studied by candlelight, and our factories stopped because the power went out. For too long, we were told by foreign powers that electricity was a privilege, that progress was something granted to us only when we signed their contracts, accepted their conditions, or bent to their demands. But today, that era is ending. Today, the world must face a new reality. Africa has awakened, and it is Burkina Faso, with the courage of her people and the boldness of her leadership, that has lit the first great flame of independence in the 21st century. I speak of a project so vast, so daring, and so transformative that the very balance of global energy politics trembles. Burkina Faso, a landlocked nation once dismissed as too small, too weak, and too poor, has joined hands with China, one of the great industrial powers of our time, to launch a $100 billion solar energy mega-project. Not millions, not billions in the single digits, but $100 billion dedicated to harnessing the power of the African sun, dedicated to electrifying not just Burkina Faso but the whole of West Africa. And let me be clear, this is not just an energy project. This is not just about solar panels, wires, and grids. This is a revolution. This is a declaration of independence. This is Africa telling the world. We will no longer live in the shadows of Western energy empires. For decades, the United States of America and its European allies controlled Africa's energy lifelines. They sold us oil at inflated prices. They forced us into contracts for gas pipelines that never served our people. They dictated how much electricity we could generate and how much we could import. They told us, without our corporations, without our technology, you will remain in darkness. And yet today, Burkina Faso and China stand together to shatter that lie. Today, the partnership between Ouagadougou and Beijing strikes at the heart of U.S. energy dominance in Africa. And make no mistake, Washington is watching. Europe is watching. The oil cartels are watching. Because they know if Africa can generate its own power, if Africa can feed its own industries, if Africa can electrify its own homes, then Africa is free. And a free Africa is a force the world cannot control. I want you to imagine for a moment what this means. A network of solar fields stretching across the Sahel, panels shimmering like mirrors beneath the blazing African sun, energy pulsing through cables that connect villages, towns, and cities, not for the profit of Exxon, Chevron, or Total, but for the people of Africa. Imagine farmers in Mali irrigating their fields with solar-powered pumps. Imagine schools in Niger running computers, lights, and laboratories without fear of blackouts. Imagine hospitals in Burkina Faso saving lives, not because they begged for foreign aid, but because their own sun fuels their own machines. Imagine industries in Ghana, Senegal, and Nigeria powered by clean African energy, producing goods not just for survival but for prosperity. This is not a dream. This is happening. This is the dawn of a new Africa. And let us not deceive ourselves. This project is a direct challenge to the empire of energy that the West has built for centuries. The United States has long used oil and energy as weapons of control. They funded coups when African leaders dared to nationalize resources. They imposed sanctions when nations refused to sign contracts with their corporations. They told us renewables were too expensive for Africa, all while they polluted our lands and extracted our oil. But now Burkina Faso has turned to its greatest resource, the sun above, and with China's technology, financing, and partnership, we are building something no sanction, no embargo, and no Western corporation can stop. Brothers and sisters, understand this. Energy is power. Not just power in the sockets of our homes, but power in the destiny of nations. The one who controls your electricity controls your economy. The one who controls your fuel controls your freedom. This is why the United States is trembling tonight. This is why Washington whispers, in fear. Because they know that the 100 billion solar mega project is not just an investment, it is an emancipation. It is Africa saying, we will no longer power your factories while our villages remain dark. We will no longer send our oil abroad while our people cook over firewood. We will no longer import your electricity when our sun is the brightest in the world. And what does this mean for the ordinary African? It means dignity. It means a woman in a village no longer has to walk miles to fetch firewood because her home is lit by solar power. It means a child no longer strains his eyes over a candle to study because his classroom shines with light. It means a farmer can store his harvest in solar-powered cold storage instead of watching it rot. It means a doctor can perform surgery in a hospital powered by Africa's own energy instead of losing patients because the lights went out. This is not charity. This is not aid. This is the rightful inheritance of our people. The sun belongs to us, and now its power is ours too. Do not underestimate the symbolism of this project. Burkina Faso, once mocked as a poor nation, has become the spearhead of Africa's solar revolution. With partners who respect our sovereignty, we are showing the world that even the so-called smallest among us can ignite a fire that lights an entire continent. This is why Africa's youth must not lose faith. This is why Africa's workers must stand tall. This is why Africa's leaders must have courage, because this moment is not just Burkina Faso's, it is Africa's. Brothers and sisters, I tell you today, this project is not just about electricity, it is about liberation. It is about breaking the chains of dependence. It is about telling the United States and Europe that their age of control is over. It is about proving to ourselves that Africa can rise, Africa can innovate, Africa can lead. And above all, it is about giving the next generation a future where they do not have to beg for light, but inherit a continent that shines with its own power. This is only the beginning, but already the earth trembles. Already, Washington fears. Already, Africa rises. Let us speak plainly of what this $100 billion solar mega project truly represents to the world. For centuries, Africa has been described as a continent rich in resources but poor in power. We were told that our gold, our oil, our uranium, our diamonds, and our cocoa were valuable only when shipped abroad, refined abroad, and sold back to us at 10 times the price. We were told we lacked the intelligence, the discipline, and the vision to manage these resources ourselves. They told us Africa could dig, Africa could drill, Africa could harvest, but Africa could not lead. But today, Burkina Faso and China have shown that narrative to be a lie. Today, they have shown that Africa not only has the resources but also the will to transform those resources into power. This project is not about digging something out of the earth and shipping it overseas. It is about capturing the light of the sun, something no one can steal, something that shines freely upon our lands, and turning it into a force that lights up an entire region. What greater symbolism of liberation could there be? For in the sun lies the one resource Africa controls absolutely, a resource no foreign company can privatize, no Western power can embargo, no multinational can patent. And yet, brothers and sisters, do not think for a second that the West will accept this shift quietly. Even as we celebrate, there are voices in Washington and Brussels that hiss with anger. They call emergency meetings in their energy councils. They whisper in their think tanks about how to stop the rise of Africa. They draft new sanctions under the excuse of security concerns. They try to paint China's partnership with Burkina Faso as colonialism in disguise. They are desperate because they know that what is being built in the heart of West Africa is not just an energy grid, it is a new world order. Ask yourselves, why did the United States, with all its wealth, never invest $100 billion in African solar power? Why did Europe, with all its technological pride, never commit to electrify the Sahel? They had the means, but they lacked the will, because an Africa that stands on its own feet threatens their control. They wanted us to remain dependent, to remain borrowers, to remain clients, forever needing their approval and their loans. But now Burkina Faso has torn the script. Now the light of our own sun has become the light of our independence, and that is why they are trembling. This is why we must be vigilant. For history teaches us that every time Africa rises, the forces of neocolonialism seek to strike her down. When Patrice Lumumba spoke of sovereignty, they assassinated him. When Thomas Sankara envisioned self-reliance, they cut his life short. When Muammar Gaddafi dreamed of a united African currency backed by gold, NATO bombed his nation into chaos. And today, as Burkina Faso dares to build a future beyond Western control, do you think they will simply watch? No, brothers and sisters, they are plotting, scheming, searching for ways to sabotage this project. But I tell you this, no bullet can kill the sun, no sanction can block its rays, no conspiracy can darken the sky above Africa. The power of this project is not just in its machinery but in its symbolism, and symbolism, once born, cannot be destroyed. What does it mean for West Africa when this project is complete? It means no child will be born into a village where the night belongs to silence. It means industries that were once impossible because of unstable power grids will thrive in cities like Bamako, Niamey, and Ouagadougou. It means young inventors, engineers, and scientists will no longer flee to Europe or America in search of opportunity, because their own continent will become the land of opportunity. It means Africa will no longer export raw materials cheaply and import finished goods expensively, but will refine, manufacture, and produce with her own energy. It means the youth of West Africa will not only dream but achieve. Do you see now why the United States is alarmed? Because their power rested not only on oil but on our dependency. Their corporations thrived because we were kept in the dark. And now, as the light spreads across the Sahel, their grip weakens. This is more than economics. This is strategy. This is politics. This is the shifting of an age-old balance. For as soon as Africa generates its own energy, Africa begins to generate its own future. Some in the West will ask, but what of China? Are they not also seeking influence? My answer is this: partnership is not slavery when it is built on respect. The difference is clear. When the West comes to Africa, they dictate. When China comes to Africa, they negotiate. When the West arrives, they bring soldiers, bases, and conditions. When China arrives, they bring roads, railways, factories, and now solar grids. Does this mean China is flawless? No, brothers and sisters, no nation is flawless. But in this project, China has recognized the sovereignty of Burkina Faso, the sovereignty of Africa. And that is why this alliance is powerful. It is built not on charity, but on mutual gain. The message of this project is not just to America, not just to Europe, but to every African nation. It is a message that says, you do not have to wait for permission to rise. You do not have to wait for aid to dream. You do not have to wait for loans to build. You have within your own land, within your own skies, the power to create your destiny. And when you find partners who respect you, who work with you rather than above you, you can achieve what once seemed impossible. Already, whispers are spreading. Leaders across West Africa are asking, can we join? Can we connect our grids? Can we invest together? And the answer is yes. This is the beauty of solar power. It knows no borders. The sun that shines on Ouagadougou also shines on Dakar, on Lagos, on Abidjan, on Freetown. The cables that begin in Burkina Faso can stretch across nations, weaving a web of power that unites the region not only in light but in purpose. And when West Africa is united in energy, then West Africa will be united in politics, united in economics, united in destiny. Brothers and sisters, let us dream but also let us act. For the road ahead will not be easy. The enemies of this project will not rest. They will spread propaganda. They will say the project is too costly. They will say it is unsustainable. They will fund mercenaries to destabilize Burkina Faso. They will try to divide African nations against each other. They will bribe officials, sponsor coups, and ignite conflicts, all in the name of protecting their interests. But let us remember this. No empire lasts forever. No chain is unbreakable, and no people can be kept in darkness when they have found the courage to claim the sun. I say again, this is not just Burkina Faso's moment, it is Africa's moment, and the eyes of our ancestors are watching. The spirits of those who resisted slavery, those who fought colonialism, those who died for freedom, they are with us now. They see in this solar mega project not just an economic venture, but the fulfillment of their dream that Africa one day would rise and command her own destiny. Let the world hear it. The age of dependency is ending. The age of African light is beginning. And this light will not only shine upon us, but it will shine upon the world. For Africa's rise is not a threat to humanity, it is a gift. A gift of balance, a gift of justice, a gift of possibility. Brothers and sisters, the journey continues. The light grows, and the future calls. Brothers and sisters of Africa, as I stand before you in this final part of our great revelation, let us not forget the echoes of history that have long defined our struggles. For centuries, Africa has been made to believe that her place in the global order is beneath the feet of others. Our natural resources, gold, oil, uranium, diamonds, and energy were taken not for our benefit but for the enrichment of others. The West built empires with our treasures while leaving us in darkness, literally and figuratively. But today I declare to you that the narrative has shifted. No longer shall Africa's destiny be dictated by outsiders. No longer shall energy poverty shackle our people. No longer shall America or Europe decide how the lights of Africa will shine. Burkina Faso, together with China, has launched a $100 billion solar mega project that will not only light Burkina Faso, but will power the entire sub-region of West Africa. This is not just an investment. This is a revolution, one born from courage, vision, and the burning determination to free Africa from the chains of dependence. For decades, the United States has sought to maintain its dominance by controlling energy routes, oil exploration, and gas exports across Africa. They used oil pipelines, gas contracts, and electric grid funding as instruments of manipulation. But what they never expected was that Africa, led by Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, and soon all of ECOWAS, would look to the sky, to the eternal sun that shines upon our lands, and declare, "We shall power ourselves." Think about it, Africa is the sunniest continent on Earth. We receive more hours of daylight, more solar radiation, more pure energy than any other region. Yet, our people sit in darkness, our children study by candlelight, our mothers cook with firewood, and our industries are slowed by power cuts, all because foreign powers told us, wait, depend on us, buy our oil, import our gas, borrow from our banks, but no more. With this project, Africa says, we have the sun and the sun is ours. We will turn it into light, into power, into industry, into jobs, and into dignity. The United States sees this as a threat because it strikes directly at the heart of their dominance. For decades, Washington has invested billions in maintaining its grip on Africa's energy. They told us that without them, we would remain in darkness. They established programs, agencies, and partnerships that were designed not to liberate Africa, but to entrap Africa. They feared that the day we discovered our own strength, we would no longer need them, and that day has come. This $100 billion partnership with China is not just about solar panels and grids. It is about a transformation of African power. Imagine for a moment a West Africa where factories never shut down due to electricity shortages, where every hospital has uninterrupted power supply, where farmers can use solar-powered irrigation systems, where schools run digital education programs even in remote villages, and where households cook, study, and live with dignity. That is the Africa this project envisions. But let us not be naive. The West will not sit idle. They will use their media to call this project a debt trap. They will try to paint China as a colonizer. They will attempt to pit Africans against each other. They will send NGOs, lobbyists, and agents to destabilize our governments. They will whisper lies, sow divisions, and try to sabotage progress. Yet they forget one thing: Africa is awake. Burkina Faso has spoken. Niger has spoken. Mali has spoken. and soon Ghana, Nigeria, Senegal, and every African nation will echo. We choose light over darkness. We choose independence over dependency. We choose Africa. Now, to our people, let us understand that such a revolution requires more than governments signing deals. It requires all of us, farmers, workers, entrepreneurs, students, and citizens to take ownership of this vision. We must protect this project with our voices, our actions, and our solidarity. We must reject the narratives that will come from CNN, BBC, and other Western outlets. They will tell us this is unsustainable. They will claim it will fail. But we must respond. We believe in ourselves, we believe in Africa, and we believe in the power of the sun. This project is not only an energy revolution, it is a declaration of Pan-African sovereignty. For too long, Africa has been divided into artificial borders, exploited individually by foreign powers. But today, electricity will unite us. From Ouagadougou to Bamako, from Niamey to Lagos, from Dakar to Accra, one solar grid shall power one Africa. And when we are powered together, no external force can stop our rise. This is why the US is furious. They built their dominance not just with military might, but with control of resources. They know that whoever controls energy controls the future. But Africa has flipped the script by investing in solar. We have chosen an energy that no foreign power can control. The sun belongs to no one. It belongs to humanity. And for Africa, it shines brighter than anywhere else. We must also recognize that this is not just about technology or economics. It is about dignity. For every African child who grows up in a home with light, for every woman who no longer breathes smoke from firewood, for every worker who sees new factories rise, and for every farmer whose crops grow stronger with irrigation, this project is dignity restored. Dignity that was stolen by centuries of colonization and exploitation. Dignity that now returns with the rising sun of Africa. And so, let me tell you this, Burkina Faso and China have started something unstoppable. This is a seed planted in the soil of Pan-African unity. It will grow. It will spread. It will light not only West Africa, but the entire continent. And when Africa is fully lit, fully industrialized, fully powered, then the world will no longer see us as victims or as resources to be exploited. They will see us as equals to the youth of Africa. This is your moment. You are the generation that will inherit a continent powered by its own sun. You are the ones who will build the industries, run the factories, and expand the digital future. Do not waste this moment. Rise, innovate, dream, build. Protect Africa's solar revolution. To the elders, you are the keepers of memory. Remind us of where we came from. Remind us of the darkness of colonization. Remind us of the betrayals, of dependency, and stand with us as we embrace this light of freedom. And to the world, hear us clearly. Africa will no longer be your backyard. Africa will no longer be your supplier of raw resources while you give us finished goods. Africa will no longer be your pawn in global chess. We are standing as players, as equals, as a power in our own right. The $100 billion solar mega project is proof that Africa can dream big, act boldly, and achieve greatness. In conclusion, let me say this. The sun that rises over Burkina Faso today is not just lighting up a nation. It is lighting up an entire continent. It is lighting up the hopes of a people long denied. It is burning away the chains of dependency, and it is declaring to America, to Europe, and to the world, Africa is awake. Africa is rising. Africa is free. This is more than energy. This is our revolution. This is our moment, and no one, absolutely no one, can stop the power of the African sun.